Welcome back to Mega Music Memories, the podcast that remembers and celebrates the unsung heroes of pop and dance from yesteryear who've earned permanent places in our hearts with their epic music. My name is Matt Gibson. Join me as I interview artists from the 90s and noughties who, in my view, don't always get the plaudits they deserve for the amazing music they made and the magical memories they've given to us fans. If you're a nostalgia nerd, subscribe and stay tuned as we continue our journey looking back at an awesome era. If you love pop, if you love nostalgia, and enjoy hearing your favourite old school artists reflecting on their careers and giving us the lowdown on what they're doing now, you're in the right place. So buckle up, because we've got some serious reminiscing to do. Hello, and thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of Mega Music Memories. I'm joined on today's pod by Peter Cunnah and Alan Mackenzie from D-Ream, who had 3 UK top 10 hits in the 1990s and 12 top 40 releases, including, most famously of course, Things Can Only Get Better, which spent 4 weeks at the top of the UK singles chart in 1994. After going their separate ways in 1995, Pete and Al bumped into each other again, totally by chance, in 2008, prompting them to collaborate on their third studio album, entitled In Memory Of, a few years later. The guys have been working on music together ever since, and last year released their fourth album, Open Hearts, Open Minds, which I asked them about at the start of our interview. And as Alan explains, the record had been in the works for some time.
I think Pete and I, we've still been making music and doing things. You know, obviously, as we get older, other things going on. It's not like we're in some bands in the charts all the time. So we just take our time and doing stuff. Because we're always going to get music done, and we just got on with it. Really, I think. When was it? 2015, Pete? When we
started. We were working on from the last album. Really, we picked up a couple of years after In Memory Of, and we really spent. I thought we spent too long on Meet Me at Midnight. It just went on, and I was falling out of love with it, but it just took so long to do, and everything else by comparison was a breeze, you know. But I think, like, listening back to it now, I can see why, because it was the thing that we're trying to get. You know, I suppose we're trying to orientate ourselves towards a body of work, I suppose, and then like Alan said, you know, I was moving country and I was in a new relationship and all of that kind of thing. So it just life takes over. And I like that I can do that. And we can do that. You know, we're not on some sort of mega schedule, as Al says, you know, it just takes over. So, and I think that's reflected in the album as well. It's got the benefit of not having the red light, you know, go in and burning through $2 and $3 grand's worth of money every day in a major studio. You know, we got it done here and there, you know, between London and then over here in where I am now, which is Donegal in Northwest Ireland. So.
And most of it was created during lockdown, wasn't it?
A large part of it was. As Peter said, we'd started. I think 2015. We kind of finished. We'd done the last album in Memory Of, and we were still working on bits and pieces, doing a few gigs, and then things happened, so we sort of left it for a while. And then I think about a year before lockdown, was that about a year, Pete? I started in London still, and we finished off Meet Me at Midnight, and we started, I think, Emperors of the Night, Don't Let the Bastards Grind You Down, and and then people moved in, and then I think lockdown happened, and then we were sort of in limbo, and we'd started things. So after about 8 months of lockdown, when it lifted a few restrictions, I'd had enough. I was going mental. I live in the middle of nowhere, but I mean, it's a bit like Peter, I suppose. But it's in the country. I mean, we haven't even got past where I live. You've got to get in your car and drive somewhere. So I was getting really quite. Well, my mental state was definitely questionable.
Cabin fever, they call it, Alan. Cabin fever.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I just thought we've got to go over to Ireland and get this album done. And so I think we spent doing all the right things, and got over there. Pete's in the middle of nowhere anyway, so I didn't see anyone else apart from Pete and his wife.
Yeah. When you think of all those restrictions we went through, and you saw how Johnson was lording it up in his back garden, with a nice Chianti and a decent cheese, it's like...
Yeah, no, it's a bit annoying. But we did it, and we worked really hard. And for me, I'm normally up till the God knows what hour at night. I mean, I don't go to bed before 1, 2 in the morning generally, because I'm just, my mind, I think we use DJing and stuff. So going to Peter's and then not drinking, not really doing
He uses it as a detox retreat. He comes over.
And you've really focused on it as well, because you're not drinking. We just got on with it, didn't we? Peter's written a lot of the songs, and some stuff we'd sent over here and we'd had a little good think about. Some stuff we wrote Make Love Get over there, literally.
Make Love Cool Again was your phrase, and I couldn't stop. I just went straight down. No, it's great. It's inspiring. Being denied the chance to work with people it's like a crazy thing, because humanity works because of the vibe of being together. Everyone, you can go into all sorts of hippie shit about it, but really at the end of the day, it's the vibe you have that just propels ideas forward in a way that just don't happen if you're sitting there, scratching your head on your own. And so when we got together, and it just accelerated that whole process, and we were getting faster at it. You remember how towards the end we were like, so we're not less afraid of the equipment. We know where everything is, so we're getting past the equipment getting in the way sort of thing, and now being like a real tool. And it comes, and we're doing the same with Final Cut Pro now. We're learning. We've learned how to. We've only scratched the surface, I imagine. We've been doing our own videos and realizing that we've been paying a fortune for these bloody things in the past.
Yeah. I think it's important now that we're doing, and it's like I'm there next week for another week, and because we're doing a new single, which is, I think instead of doing that thing before, we'd be 2 days at a time, going over now and doing a week or 2 weeks at a time. And sort of conditioned into that way of working. It's brilliant. We get things done. We always never waste any time at all now, and it's just we're getting on a bit as well. So we haven't got a lot of time to waste.
I don't know. But I've planned living a lot longer than that, Al. No, it's good. I mean, the new song's Pedestal. And I can, like, I'll tell you, I just want to go into the next thing. I'm not that I'm bored with the album, but I did perform Pedestal the other night, Alan, at this live show I did. So I did a guitar version of it, which I'm very pleased with. I just think, it's, as I said, Alan coming over accelerates things, and we get to the stage now with the gigs getting back to normal, that we've got several in the diary now, whereas the last 2 years we've been, the music industry was thrown under a bus, basically. So It's nice now to get out and have that promise of some sort of momentum happening again, and we can play these songs live and experience them in a different way and get them in front of people, and hopefully get people to hear what it is we're doing, to hear where we're at, and hopefully entertain them. And that's it. It's very simple. You write the song, you record the song, you go out and play it, and then people dance to it, and hopefully, that'll be one of them, at least, it'll be the soundtrack to their life. You never know.
Would it be fair to say that with the new album, you're kind of going back to D-Ream's roots, really?
I think so. I think we had a chat about it. We did the last album. I think we hadn't seen each other for quite a long time. And we just got, Peter had loads of ideas there and stuff. And I really wanted to do something different from.
It was experimental and probably way ahead of its time. And we really fused my indie background in guitars and Alan's sort of news for the dance floor together in a way that we weren't doing in the early stages of Dream. And I think it's standalone, a beautiful piece of music. Really, really good. I had You Make Me Smile come into my head the other night, Al. You'd be happy to know. So I was singing that away, especially the sax break, which is wonderful. And so, that was sort of there. And we kind of said, listen, we want to do something that's much more like us when we do festivals and live and stuff like that. That's really, and it's hard to do come up with song ideas that aren't sort of grumpy 50-year-old things, you know. And yeah, so I think we got the angle right and the tone right. And like Alan's been, you know, really is writing with me, and we've been, yeah, we've gone to, as Jamie Oliver likes to say with one of his recipes, we've taken it to another level.
Yeah, well, I mean, you talk about, you know, grumpy 55-year-olds and so on, but I, you know, having listened to the album quite a lot over the last couple of days, I think a lot of the tracks, to me at least, feel infused with a real kind of sense of optimism. And I would say, I'd say some of the tracks deal with some quite serious themes as well.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
Find it sort of interesting that much of the album was created, not all of it, as you say, but a lot of it, you know, during a pandemic, and the world's been experiencing some serious challenges in recent years and so on. So I'm just sort of curious how much kind of modern life and everything that's gone on in the world in recent years has shaped the record.
I think we did discuss one thing, and we were quite open. We said we'd try and keep it quite positive anyway. We didn't want to be too negative because it's too easy to be negative. And we did say that, well, you know, we wanted to avoid some negativity. I mean, obviously you've got to be honest to yourself and what's going on. But just being right, Pete said, but we are grumpy, and it's very hard to get away from that. But it's not. No one wants to sit there and listen to someone just moaning basically all the time, do they? And I don't think it makes.
No, I don't find that. I grew up in an environment here in Northern Ireland where what we call, you know, refer to as the Troubles, and it was basically that. It was a horrendous time of creativity because in one instance they blew up the pub my band was about to play the week before we played there.
That wasn't to do with the Troubles, so that's just because you knew
that's a weird crap. Yeah, fair enough. It has been said, and it's funny because a lot of the bands that were here even there that time, very few of them, SLF, Stiff Little Fingers, for example, would have been one. Possibly even Undertones would have really commented on Alternative Ulster or Suspect Device and that kind of thing. The rest of the bands were just, they had their head in their clouds. They just wanted to not be in that, you know, not. I'm in it already. Why would I be writing about it as well? You know, so it fell to bands like the Cranberries and U2, who were pretty much removed from it, to start commenting on things like that. The rest of us were just trying to entertain people and ourselves. You know, keep our hopes up. And that's probably why this album. You know, I heard a great word the other day, Al. Maybe we could use it as a song. But this album, Open Hearts, Open Minds, it's literally laced with hopium. I like it.
I like it.
Yeah. It's just that thing. I can't stand the idea of sort of preaching and telling people they're going to go to hell in a handcart and that kind of. That's not what we're about. There's a real joy. And if you look at me on Top of the Pops, right? If you ever get a hold of any of those, I'm just literally, I'm smiling from ear to ear because it was just a joyous time. It was wonderful to be there, and you know, I've dreamt the Top of the Pops my whole life, and Alan had the opposite experience. he fell out with the producer, and there's all sorts of things going on. Anyway, that's what.
Oh, come on! You can't tease us with that. You've got to elaborate.
All right. Well, this is Alan's story, and I can.
Let's just say I drank a little bit too much, and I had a fall over music with one of the producers on the last time. Last time I was ever on Top of the Pops. Anyway, he told me it'd be my last time anyway, and it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we were known for I heard I met people after we'd been in the charts and all the rest of it, and I was just milling around with my kids. Someone says, "Yeah, I was going to go and audition for your band, but then someone told me about your reputation, so I decided not to." I was like, "Good, you wouldn't have fitted in then anyway, would you?"
I think fans of D-Ream's earlier work from the 90s should definitely buy the album if they haven't done so already. I'm sure they'd really enjoy it. But in terms of like reaching out to new audiences, what kind of people with kind of what kind of musical tastes do you think would most enjoy Open Hearts, Open Minds?
Blimey.
That's for everyone. It's pop dance, isn't it? But this dance has got a lot of live instruments. It's good music, well written. I'm going to do the big blurb here, but it's well written, good music. It's not cheesy pop like don't want to name bands. It's not fair, but bands like Steps.
I've done a Steps record.
Yeah, but bands like that. This is I don't like using the words of intelligent sort of pop, but there's a bit more to it. I just think it's good quality music. We've had some really good write-ups and stuff from people who are like proper underground electronic dance music people who've loved it. So it's for everyone, really. It's just if you like music, like it's not to everyone's taste, but that's like everything, But it's not cheesy. There's a bit of everything in there, I think I'm proud of it. I think it's the best thing we've done. So that's
yeah. I'd like to think that we'd appeal to a broad range of people, but like Al says, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. I still like that the people who really like they dig what we do. They really get it, and I think that's the new paradigm in music, that you've got this direct communication with people before who we were just broadcasting to. You'd hear us on the radio or see us on TV, and that was it. And it's all different now because, I get the odd photograph of someone's walking the park with their kid, or the other week was someone at Jodrell Bank going, "Guess which video you did here?" Stuff like that. So I like that. I think that's really, really good because it's more connected. It feels more connected, and it's great. Some of them come down to the shows and come and hang out now, and it's totally different. We've got the time for them. So
we're not as drunk.
And we're not as drunk. Or derugged. Yeah.
Is there like I don't want to get too deep, but is there a goal for the new album? Like, obviously you want lots of people to hear it, but when people listen to it, like how do you want them to feel, if you know what I mean?
Well, I hope it's a shot in the arm, really. I mean, come away from an album like that, it's given us. That's a funny thing. That album gave us the shot in the arm we needed, that hopium, and we've put it into that record. And someone said to me the other day, he said, "How come D-Ream seemed to come along when there's like a real contest?" Because it was Iraq War the last time and we give them this bit of hope. And I was good. Like, we're not that good, we're not that clever, and we haven't got that sense of timing. We can't roll it like that. I wish I could take credit like that, but I can't. It's just the timing is just coincidental.
Well, I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that, Pete, because obviously we can't really talk about like optimism with D-Ream without at least briefly touching on things can only get better, which kind of encapsulated a certain mood and feeling that was kind of sweeping across the vast parts of the country in the 90s. Obviously, famously used by Labour in the 97 general election campaign. Now, of course, everyone will have various differing opinions about what came after that kind of period of optimism in the 90s, but putting all that to one side, I'm just wondering if you guys, who obviously had a front row seat and obviously played a significant part in that wave of like Cool Britannia in the 90s and so on, I wonder if you just sort of see any kind of parallels between that kind of period of history and the kind of cultural moments, if you like, that we're experiencing now or could potentially live through in the next few years or not?
Definitely it's different now than it was then, and you've got You've got another Tory government in, and from my perspective now, I've been politically homeless since they took us to war in Iraq, so I can't see any difference in any of them. It seems the system to me is just really, really corrupt. I just see this whole thing now, and it's like, it just seems to me to be some sort of pantomime, and they just change the villains and they just change the characters at time to time, but it's the same old.
Exactly. Nothing changes.
Nothing. Well, nothing can, because it's so systemic, and they've got it from the royals right down. They've got it in place, and they've buttered their own backyard with postal voting districts, so it always goes one way. And until we get a break in that, we have some sort of PR, or we get a three-party system and more grown-up democracies have, I can't see anything changing. I mean, they're just really good at keeping the status quo. And we did that dance with the devil, insofar as loaning our music to Labour at the time, because but at that stage, I thought there could be change. And we all wanted that sea change, and I really got caught up in that. But I do remember back then when I was at Festival Hall, and I watched these people dancing. I got to tell you, here's something we should do if we're going to elect new governments. We make sure the bastards can hold a beat, because none of these people can dance for toffee, right? So seriously, there's something in this. There's something in this. If we can have a dance-off, we might get better politicians. Just say it.
Yeah, good idea for the next debate, isn't it? For the next general election.
Let's see your moves. If you can clap in time, we'll think about you.
So originally, Pete, you were in an indie rock band called Ty the Boy, and you were a guitarist, not the singer.
I was a big guitar player. Yeah. Look, that was a gorgeous time in my life as well. I'm a lucky chap because I had the 80s, and I was in a little indie band, and we were kick ass, and we were hitting the circuit here in Ireland, and then we ended up in London, courtesy of Mother Records. That's a few years after the band didn't work out. I met Alan, and then I had the whole 90s with the band and D-Ream making those records. I just had two teenage lives, which was great.
Mother Records, that was U2's like sort of homegrown record.
That's
label,
right.
Wasn't it?
U2 set up a kind of let's say a stepping stone for young acts, and you have to think, I mean, they were putting their money into this thing, and it wasn't, I think one band that did work was Hot House Flowers, possibly Tuesday Blue. That's what I recall, but it was a great stepping stone, and we recorded the song. Interestingly, that they chose to record was mine and not the lead singer's, so we put a bit of a wedge through the band, and strangely enough, it ended up on our first album. It's called Blame It On Me. And I would love to play the two versions, because the one is the kind of indie sort of Cajun thing, more like a Tom Waits record, right? And then the other one got we put the smooth beats in, and we made it more sort of Lisa Stansfield and stuff. So it ended up being like a soul record. It just shows you there's not that much in it when it comes down to how the song is treated and how it can be performed in order to move genres, as it were,
Yeah.
So no, it was really enjoyable. So at least it did see the light of day. But Ty the Boy, I'm still in touch with those guys. One of them's in Australia, and he has built his own eco home. And the other one became the mayor. The bass player became the mayor of Derry. And the other guy, the drummer, he became he's on the Times richest list, 500. His family do property and stuff like that. And he's quite a outspoken a Brexiteer, and we have some good rows.
Wow, that's quite diverse.
I know, it's just you can't, because one's a Labour candidate, and what do you call it? The band was very interesting. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah. Now at this stage, you almost got signed by that record label, but you didn't you? And you were.
They gave us a pile of money to make the record Blame It On Me, but that was my first experience being in a studio where they couldn't get the sound that I wanted in my head. Right. Couldn't get the tom sounding like, and I think we were just with the wrong people, producers and stuff, because what I found out later on, if you don't have the right mics, the right preamps, and the right size of kit tuned to the right thing, all that stuff that you learn as you make records, you're not going to get the sound you want. And everything was sounding really piddly, and I wanted massive sounding stuff. So to be honest, it was a real learning curve in that regard. But we didn't sign to them. As I said, the story goes that our manager, who was gay, bless him, Robert Stevenson, was at a party with U2, and they were sitting at table, a meal. And I believe that Robert came on to Larry Mullen, the drummer, and Larry Mullen stood up and decked him. And then we didn't get the recording deal.
So obviously that was kind of like a difficult period before things started taking off with D-Ream. But that kind of speaks to one of the tracks on the new album, doesn't it? Many Hands, where kind of like, you know, people kind of helped you out, didn't they? And
yeah, we were sort of thinking of an homage to, you're only here by the good grace of others. And you realize that everyone sort of gets involved in your life at different stages and to different amounts. And people can either be mentors, or they can be people that you don't get on with, and you might learn from that, you might not. But all of that experience, all those hands have had a place. You know that great phrase they have, if I've seen further, it's only by standing on the shoulder of giants. It's really that idea written to a song, and it's kind of just the structure. I don't know. We don't have a structure in that, do we? It does its thing, and
it's just, it is what it is, basically. And when we were putting it out, we had one of the radio people we were speaking to, we didn't use, and she kindly told us how it should be. So we kind of told her where to go, basically. Just because she thought it's brilliant to start because it's got a verse and chorus. Then it's like, oh, it doesn't go verse, chorus, middle eight, chorus, outro anymore. It doesn't make sense. But it's not about that. It's about, it sounds right.
It works for us, and it's a vibe. And you can only break rules by knowing them. And we've done our apprenticeship, and when it comes to making these music, if it flows and it feels good, we're not pandering for radio here. We're working to make our album entertain us as much as other people.
Although I do think Many Hands is a very good radio record. That's the thing.
We just need Kenny Everett to lock himself in the room for 24 hours and play it, but he's no longer with us. Yeah.
And you guys put together the video for Many Hands yourselves, didn't you? What's it been like, sort of learning how to do all that?
It's like recording. You record the visuals, you gather them, you put them into the thing, start mucking around with them, and try and make it make sense. Because you don't, like, I've got treatments here I can't even afford to shoot. I keep looking at these Hollywood movies and saying what we could do if we had a bloody budget. But we just have to use our imagination, and that's it.
On 4 now as well. I think it's progressively getting better each time because we're learning more things. When we first did it, was Meet Me at Midnight, and it was a necessity. We were putting a single out, and we thought we need some sort of visuals. I think initially we were just going to do like a lyric video type thing. I had the Final Cut Pro, which is what they all use. And I think we've taken some shots of Pete and just said, Pete, well, look, let's just sing it. Just sing it all. Let's just do it and see how it comes out. So we did it. And then we learned from that one and for the next one and to the last one now. And there's things to see. And, I keep looking up different things to get different techniques so it looks more professional. And I think, but the next one will be even more professional. And, by this time next year, we'll be making a movie.
I don't laugh. I think we're capable of doing it. We just need to shoot it, script it, and all the rest of it. And I've great ambitions for this band. I want us to be doing another album, sooner rather than later. And and I'd like us to be out doing a proper live show as well with the full band. Not just festival. Festivals are great fun. I can't knock them at all. They're just great fun. And we tend not to be, whereas if you're doing your own thing, you won't be finished till around 11 and you've put a whole day into it, whereas the festival, you just show up and do half an hour or 40 minutes or something. And it's a breeze by comparison. You're not doing anywhere near the amount of, thinking, dance of the foot pedals and all the rest of it,
And you get to enjoy the other acts as well, don't you? Yourselves, if you want.
Yeah. It's, we were standing with, you remember we did Manchester, Alan, and what's the girl who did Sophie Ellis, who did the,
oh yeah,
she had a kitchen disco, and she we finished on Things Gonna Be Better. She came on after us, and I remember someone that said that's a hard one to follow at a festival at night. So it's just that thing. Not that they got the order on, but we saw part of her set. But she's very good, very impressed with her. And I'll tell you, also I've met that I'm really impressed with Martin Fry from ABC. He's lovely. I've met Tony Hadley. He's a lovely man as well, and you get to hang out with some of these icons, from growing ABC and all that. I love that, and they're really nice people. Although Martin Fry is very tall, he's even taller than Alan. And he's very nice because he stands with his legs apart to lower himself down, so he can talk to a short arse like me, which is hilarious.
Well, that's nice, isn't it? Because sometimes you worry, don't you? They say sometimes never meet your heroes, don't they? So it's nice that
I also met Neil Conti down at. Sorry about this, Neil, but it's probably the grumpiest man I've ever met. The drummer from Prefab Sprout,
right?
And you're right, because I was just like, oh, don't be like this.
We had a few back in the day. The guys, I was lead singer Manic Street Preachers, and I didn't get. I think maybe bursting at his dressing room on top of the pops didn't help, and realised they were really boring when I was very drunk. So the next time I met him, and I was actually being polite to him, he just looked down at me like it was a piece of dirt. I thought, okay, that's nice. But yeah, I used to love the old Manic, so I was a bit disappointed with that. But yeah.
Was that before the guy left or died?
No, it's before that, because he was Quinn did the Top of the Pops that time. That's when he wore the dress and that. But they were all drinking green tea when I burst into the dressing room because everyone's been boring in our dressing room. So I had a few drinks, let's say, and then I went and thinking it'd be a big party there, and it wasn't.
No,
I was the only one partying. I ended up with me and Robbie Williams downstairs bemoaning pop music in our bands. he left not long afterwards, Robbie. Likewise.
Yeah. There you go.
What era was that of Top of the Pops? Because
93.
Yeah, because I've heard I think in the kind of noughties, I think it was made quite sort of acts were told you can't, you've got to stay in your dressing rooms, you can't really mix.
I think it was a bit like that. We had the big canteen and stuff. Remember that time the Bee Gees were on, and so everyone was just minding their own business. The Bee Gees had security and everything. It had a big cordon off for them to sit there. They didn't want to hang around with any of the sort of what they would call the lower bands. It was quite disappointing, really. I thought everyone else just sitting eating around in the canteen and things, but there's nothing else to do because there's dressing rooms.
They've got you on call, and they keep repeating you back to the main stage constantly. You do several run-throughs during the day, and then there's the final one, and they do it in one take.
That time we take that though. That they got a lot of the little fans that got there, and they were all very excited. So they kept rushing the stage and everything. When take that one on, so they have to keep recording again and again and again. Yeah.
But the one thing is, it's really tiny. Yeah. And they make it look so much bigger on the screen, but because they have a small audience which they move around with the cameras for each one of the performances, and that was a real shock. And the other thing was the first time we did You're the Best Thing. The original version of You're the Best Thing, Alan, do you remember, was like over 7 minutes, the club version, and we managed to edit it down for the radio to something like 4.5.
Yeah.
And we had to take it down to 3.5 or something for Top of the Pops, and all they played was 2.5 on the night. And I was like, because we were getting one of those, they're debuting in the charts moments. We were low in the charts, and this would have pushed it up. So I think that was the first time, and I remember that moment being so incensed. I mean, I was literally livid because they were chopping up our song, and that was the first time I had to bite my lip as a budding, aspiring, lead singer.
I miss Top of the Pops, though. I think it was a good thing. It was so weird with all different acts. You get some like new punk band or something on there.
You said the Bee Gees on with the house act. I mean, it was really democratic.
It's really, I think the BBC especially, they missed something like that on there because it is public broadcasting and things like that are great. And it's just, and I know music's changed massively, and you've got MTV and all this stuff and all these, but I just think it was a good medium, a good thing for bands.
Unifying thing, you'd have the mums and dads looking at the kids were listening to, and I remember my wife said to me just recently, her father saw them watching Wizard, the Wish It Could Be Christmas, and he's old school, like he was in shorts till he joined the army in World War II, was it? And he just looked at her and he tutted. He went, if they'd seen this lot in the war, they'd have shot him on sight. Your dad telling you your music's crap, that's a rite of passage, right?
Exactly.
I think we need to bring Top of the Pops back, don't we? Start a campaign or something.
I might save a BBC.
Yeah. So Al, like, how did you and Pete eventually meet?
It was just that I used to DJ about 1990, it would be, I suppose, DJing in a club called The Brain in Wardour Street. I used to run my own nights there, and my ex, Pete and they worked together in a media company. And I think she just said to Pete, my partner's does this, she should come down. She knew Pete and did music, just got us to meet. Yeah. Pete was there and just like, look, I make some music. And I was like, well, I didn't. But I thought, well, why not? There's something to do.
Well, I was struggling with You're the Best Thing because I was trying to make the music you were playing sound something like that. And I was going, I just can't make it work. And so when Alan came along, he brought a large spliff and a packet of some chocolate biscuits. I keep thinking could have been Hobnobs or Jammy Dodgers, I don't know, something like that. And then we just spent that time. And I think the first thing he said to me was to make the kick drum last for 32 bars or something really ridiculous. And I was going, who the hell's going to listen to a kick drum playing for 32 bars? He says, it's not for you. It's for DJs so they can lock on. And I was going, right. So the penny dropped. And that kind of where we were with that really worked. And that grew, that relationship, getting the sort of club noose of Alan and his beats and the records that he used to play me and tell me, make it more like this, make it more like that. And then, I was just taking all that musical knowledge and I'm just being guided by him, and that's what we became. And
it was quite good then. We were doing a lot of remixes as well for like Duran Duran and EMF, Debbie Harry.
That's right, yeah. We really had our finger on the pulse at that time.
That's a lot cooler than people give us credit for back in those. We were, I think it's a definition of pop music, isn't it? Because pop is popular. Yeah. That's the thing, and Dream became popular, so suddenly it's all pop, but they forget that You're the Best Thing. I think things when they came out were considered quite cool. They were actually quite cool tunes at the time, and we were remixing all these bands, and like your people like Sasha, your John Digweed's, all quite big DJs, were all playing our music. So it's but then it suddenly became pop, and that's sort of been tarred with that sort of like pop wrongly. And I love it. That kicked out. I had some book recently. I've got my record label, and he basically he's a bit of a div, this guy, and he worked for me, and he wanted a record off me. And I didn't have the records, so he got really angry. And I was like, "Mate, I don't have the records. You have to wait till we've got them." And And he said, "Why don't you just go back to be your boy band? Why don't you go back to your boy band? 51-year-old man." Go back to your boy band.
Yeah. Well, once it gets to the insult level, the debate and argument pyramid has failed, isn't it? Yeah. I just run out of ideas on that one.
I thought that we were a boy band back in the day.
I think we should still do some routines like that, Alan, maybe in the next record.
You have mentioned it a few times.
You should rip off Take That rather than the other way around. It'd be great.
I thought you wanted to do something like The Temptations on the Four Tops.
That's even better. The original boy bands. That's the one. That's the one.
I like that idea. Big bow ties.
Well, look, you're going to have to bring those things over because I've got the side locks, I've got the hair going on, and we have to get the
absolutely
frilly shirts.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Big flares, big dandelions.
Brilliant.
How was it for you, Pete, sort of transitioning from guitarist in the old band into the role of frontman?
Good question. I was obsessed about making records from when I can remember, and I not only did I learn about songwriting from the lead singer in the band I was in, I was also I spent a long time working in really dead end jobs to raise the cash to buy my first 8-track, and my first sampler was a Roland S10. It had 4 seconds, I think, sampling time on it, so you could get a kick drum, a snare, hi hat, and you could lay down a drum pattern. And so I was really obsessed with recording, and some of my first recordings I did on friends' equipment. Again, it was the good grace of others, and so the parallels between the guitar playing and the learning how to record were already there. By the time I met Alan, I'd spent 2 years with a woman called Raina Shine living on her kitchen floor, where I had a mattress and I had access to an Akai S900, an Atari, an RX5, and I had some other bits and pieces. So as I was sitting there just working this equipment and trying to piece together, making my own stuff, because the band that I got ejected from when I wrote the song that split us up, I sort of went, well, I'm going to do this, and I can't be in studios anymore and not know what I'm talking about and not get the sounds that are in my head into records. And so that was quite a process, because back then people won't even appreciate that we didn't have anywhere near the level of ease of use of this equipment. You can buy pretty much the entire universe of synthesizers that we could only dream of back in the day on an Arturia package now, or Native Instruments, and they're all there at the touch of a button, and they work. So that was already there. So I'd sort of put the guitar down for a couple of years. I was just sort of thinking that, that's last century. I've left the indie band. I want to learn how to make records now. So I'll learn a bit of keyboards and all that. So by the time Alan came along, I was just, I think it was just one of those things, it's a perfect crossroads for us both. And we both sort of sparked off each other. So I was the right guy for him at the right time, and vice versa, I
think you also were initially thinking of getting girls to sing the songs as opposed to yourself, weren't you?
Yeah, well, that explains best thing, because we were in there and I'd guided the whole song, and I was thinking, we get a girl to sing this whole thing, and the manager's going like, well, look, and they showed what happened when Deborah did the vocal in the chorus, and it switched over from me. That was just because girls' voices would cut through the PA better than a boy's, and my falsetto was nowhere near as good as her. That's full voice, so we let that go. And next thing I know, am I going to go with this? Am I going to do it like this? Seems like it's me. There's no one else but me to do this, because Alan and I's idea was we could do something like the Soul Collective thing, where we bring in guest singers. And guess what? When I went to see Gorillaz and Damon Albarn play at the O2, he did exactly that. He did a 3-hour show. He must have performed for 40 minutes of it. And I thought, that's the way to do it. You bring your guest singers in. It's a really exciting night.
Like a cigar.
You sit back, you file your nails, you come up, you do your bit. That's it. But as it turns out, I have to do everything when I'm out in the front. Now, it's interesting though. Alan's under a promise when we do the next live show. He's going to be front and center with me on Emperors of the Night, and we're going to give it the old Everly Brothers look, huh?
Making me sing more.
That's it. Yeah. I got to work for your living for a change.
It's difficult stuff, that singing. I did it once. Remember that gig we did in London? I did that.
Yeah.
and it's quite a slow song. I was standing there with my Fred Perry and Liam Gallagher giving it all out on some really slow. I said, oh God, I have to learn to do it better for future.
You're getting there. I thought it was great on the album. It's turned out really well, and it's actually a duet if you think about it. But yeah, you know, we're not supposed to do things like that because it's not cool. But I don't give a damn because it just works. It speaks.
So, guys, the name D-Ream, how did that come about, and what was the thinking behind it? We had a gig, didn't we, Al? And we were sitting there.
That was that simple. We just didn't have a name, and we'd started getting gigs because we'd put music, and I was DJing, so we'd get plenty of offers of doing stuff, and it was just that we need a name, what we're going to call ourselves. And I think I have my thing in my head. I always remember thinking, Dream Academy, Life from Northern Town. I like that sort of dreamy sort of sound. So I was thinking, Dream, that's a good bit of a band called Dream. People's got to think about the Dream Boys, which I'd rather not talk about because I don't think it had anything to do with the Dream. But
it was my Magic Mike moment, you know.
I think we just went through a few things, Dream Boy, and then I just thought, well, why don't we just call it D something Ream? And then we thought, just try call it that. The worst move ever, because obviously, and the worst thing about the internet thing is, I used to run a magazine called G-Spot Magazine with my friend Mark. We did our first interview in it. And he was really into this whole internet thing. And I ran the magazine. I don't really paid any attention. He had all these Japanese articles. And he was on it big time. And I just never paid any attention. Had I paid attention, I would have known, don't put a colon between the D and the R because it completely screwed up all the. But I am responsible for that, and I do take full responsibility.
I think it looks great, and I think that won't be a problem in the internet going forward. When they change all of this HTML, it won't be so much of a problem. But no, I like it, and I like that we've got the logo. A lot of people have gone on about seeing the logo again, making them feel happy. So that's good.
A name. The thing is, the name's a name. It doesn't really matter. People remember it. For some reason, remember it D-Ream. I know we've also had some hit stuff, but it's like Duran Duran. Essentially, Duran Duran's a terrible name, really, but it's just, it's Duran Duran, Spandau Ballet. But these things, it is, and so D-Ream, I mean, it's just a name.
Or if you're, now I don't know where it is up north, but we're actually known as D-Ream someplace.
Or D-Redful.
That's Derry.
That's Derry.
Yeah, we had our own tribute act at one time in Derry called D-Redful. And their signature song was "Fish Can Only Get Battered."
Yeah.
So you've made it.
Yeah, no, we should do that live one day, actually, ourselves.
Yeah.
But that's
maybe the last night of the tour, Al. Last night of the tour.
Yeah. That's how it came about. It literally was necessity, and it was we had to get it done so we could put the name on the flyer. So Sean, that would have been, can't remember where it was. So we'd been at the Brain, wouldn't it? So.
Yeah.
And
the Ormond Gallery, does that ring a bell?
Sorry?
Was that Ormond Gallery? Does that really?
No, that was afterwards. The Brain. We did the Brain. We did Ormonds as well, but we also did where the Sunday Social is down Great Portland Street.
Yeah. Are any of these venues there anymore?
Hmm?
Are they gone now, or are they still there?
I think I've got a feeling the one in Great Portland Street still on. Sorry, we're chatting away here too.
But Café de Paris has gone. Café de Paris has been turned into flats, hasn't it? It's gone.
But yeah, I mean that one in Great Ormond Street is where the Sunday Social is. Jeff Barrett does from Heavenly Records. Now that was there, and it was Chemical Brothers who became the Dust Brothers. Said that was one of the first gigs that got reviewed in NME and everything. It was bizarre. It was just him, me. Well, Peter singing live. I think I was pretending to play keyboards, and your partner was pretending to sing vocals.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yes,
and we managed to get a good review.
There you go.
Yeah.
Smoke and mirrors, Al. It's all smoke and mirrors.
So, back in those very early days, you guys started out by setting up your own record label. Is that right?
Kind of.
Our manager had this idea of having his own organization, FXU, and it was like an envelope that could help him move the asset that was us through the industry, which meant we kept quite a bit of creative say and control over what we did, and it was also the vehicle through which he could manufacture all these records and what have you. And I have to thank him for that, because I know he mortgaged his house to do that, but Mark wasn't an easy man for most people to get on with,
including me,
including Alan and his partner. So there was a lot of power struggles going on there, and look, it's, to me, it's water under the bridge now. But I think having our own label, the best bit about that was I took 20 on my pannier on my push bike, because I was moving around London on a push bike, and I took them down to Black Market, and I took them to Rough Trade and a couple of others I can't remember now, but I put 5 in each shop on sale or return, and the next week I went back, he says, give me 20, and I couldn't put those in the bike, so Mark had to go around on the van, and that was the first time in my life that I'd ever sold anything that people wanted, and it was just bizarre being in an indie band where it was always about an opinion, and a CD was sitting on someone's table somewhere, and they'd scratch their heads and say, I don't know, what do you think? And this train was moving, it was happening, it was real, and people physically wanted what we got, and that was a lovely feeling, you coming away having sold and having to make more. I think we did that first run, we ended up doing 20,000 or something,
That's mental. I mean, we're doing the label now as well. We're doing it ourselves again.
Yeah.
And this is just doing it ourselves, which is bloody hard work. I mean, as Pete's just said, times are different then. You could take records into shops. You had lots of record shops, indie record shops, and they would buy them off you. I've taken them into the shops, and I remember Alfredo, the legend that is Alfredo, being in Kensington, old Flying Records, and putting the thing down. Alfredo, I'll have one straight away. I hadn't even sold them to them.
Wow.
I'd pretty much sold the box near enough by the time before they even left the shop. Got my money in my hand. It's just madness. And that's nowadays.
Weren't they retailing for like £5 or what was it? It
would have been who knows? Yeah, about £5.
Yeah, we were making about £2.50 on top, but I mean they're like £20 now. These
it's impossible. It's so hard now.
Yeah,
I mean, I got to really work at trying to sell things, and it's about your PR. And with the internet, with all YouTube and everything, it's just difficult. You're fighting an uphill battle all the time trying to sell, and it is PR. And I know we keep looking at things, but we spent quite a lot of money on this album, well enough. And I think we've had this a time we have to say no. We're not. It's not like we're multimillionaires.
Yeah, there's no endless resource.
That is a fact, and it's a sad indictment of the music industry now. Is if we were to spend an absolute shed load of cash on it, we'd probably sell a lot more. But that doesn't necessarily mean the product's any good, although it is. But if you spend, you can sell a substandard product in music, because you spent a lot of money and you're hitting the right TVs and all this sort of stuff. And this is the thing, and it's sad, really, but it's the way it is. So you just got to get on with it. So, I know we've done the album. It came out, I think, the end of July last year. It's still, we will be making a new one, but it's still got legs. But we're going to put a single out that's a new single that's not on the album, try and create more hype.
We haven't had a chance to perform this album live, Alan. So that's the promotion. We need to get it out at the festivals this summer, and then hopefully later on this year, if we can get together a proper tour, we'll get it in front of fans. And
I've got a garage full of CDs and LPs which still need selling. So anyone listening, just go to a Bandcamp and buy it, please. I need to empty the garage out.
It's a very small garage.
It isn't.
Now, D-Ream had their first really big taste of success in 1992 when You're the Best Thing became a big sort of viral hit in the clubs. When did it kind of hit you that track was really taking off?
I think because Pete Tong had made it his essential tune, and this is on the FXU because it's signed to Rhythm King, but it's signed to Rhythm King because it had already been started doing its thing. But Pete Tong had made it essential tune, and Mark knew Sasha, and he had dealings with Sasha, and he got Sasha to remix. So Tongy made it his essential tune, and then when the Sasha remix came out about 3 or 4 weeks later on a separate 12, Tongy made that an essential tune again. He'd never done that before. I don't know if he's done it since. So the same tune to be, and then he made it essential tune of the year. I mean, I was DJing, and he came up to me. I'd seen his end of year chart, funny enough, somewhere, and he said, "Oh, I've got a surprise for you." I said, "What? We're number one in your essential tune of the year." He said, "How do you know that?" I've seen it in a match. But and so that then. I mean, I know, especially I didn't know much about the pop scene then. Essentially, like the scene. I also knew about pop music, 'cause I love pop music, but I didn't know much about the scene. So for me, that was a big thing to think. Well, Pete Tong was pretty much the main thing at that time, and for him to have done that and make it essential to you kind of think, oh, this has got legs, it has to have. So that was for me when it was, when you physically see vinyl in your hands, It's quite a thing, especially when you're sort of young, and I'd never done a record before.
Mm. It was the best thing was my second record. I'd done one with Ty the Boy called Limbo and Voyeur Love, and that was the second one. So I got very lucky.
Pete, can you tell us about like what the sort of inspiration was for the chorus for Things Can Only Get Better?
So we were oh, blimey, it had different incarnations. I mean, I was talking to someone the other night about this. I've probably written, when I say songs, I mean the guts of a verse, a bridge, and a chorus. I've probably had maybe 300 or so of those before I come up with that one. And I was working with this guy called Jamie Petrie, who was my kind of introduction through Raina into the London sort of publishing scene and soul scene. I suppose I'd never really been exposed to soul records before. Because I grew up in a house where there's rock and there was country, so it was just kind of like move in and we were working on something together called Jordan. We were going to call ourselves Jordan, and we recorded several songs, and the initial version of that would remind you more of Sympathy for the Devil. You can walk my path, you can wear my shoes, you get the idea, right? So that's what we had, but we didn't have a chorus. And as Alan said, his partner Kath, that place we worked at, I was sitting in the office space, and we never had that chorus. And this girl said something to me which upset me a bit, and the girl sitting in front of me is a girl called Rana Gift. Now Rana is Roland Gift's sister, so that tells you all you gotta know, because she's a really good friend at the time, and she sort of looked at me and felt obviously felt for me being sort of under attack, and she said, cheer up, Pete, you know what they say, things can only get better. So being a songwriter, you get that moment, you go, hang on a minute. So I really reached down to my bag and pulled out my Walkman. Back in the day, I had a little Sony Walkman, and I went into the bathroom with this, because it came into my head straight away, and I knew the song would work for it. Took it to Jamie that weekend and put the chorus in, and it was great. It just really worked. And we thought, go do something good here. But then the pram appeared, and I call the pram. When the pram's in the hallway, it's banned over. And that's the second time it had happened to me. So his wife was expecting, and he just disappeared. And I was out in the wilderness again going, oh, not happening. And it's hard when you've got no money in London, as you know. So just went on about my business, recording and stuff. And then by the time Alan and I got together, we were working on a remix.
Baby June
remix, was it really?
Baby June, which was all the brass and all the,
Yeah.
That whole brass sort of idea sort of stemmed from.
And when I got up and I started singing that chorus over this remix we'd done, and it was like, Christ, Alan was like, what the hell? This old song I've got. So it really works. But then I had to do some reverse engineering, because the verses and the breakdowns were all wrong from the Sympathy from the Devil version. So that's how it got fixed into our sound. But we knew Alan used to close the night down at Love Ranch, and by the time they put the lights on to try and get rid of everyone, we had a DAT player just plugged into the system. There's a bit of silence while I was setting up and anticipation, because everyone was told that Alan was going to play the new record. So everyone was really primed, and then he just dropped this DAT, and it was clear, because we'd been playing cassettes before. Remember, Alan was so hissy on the sound systems. You can't put a cassette on a big sound system. It sounds really rubbish. But this DAT that we had was really clean, and the opening lines, those piano chords came on, and I can't tell you the rise. I'm even feeling it now, but right up, everyone was like that. The boys were taking the tops off, and everyone was sort of going like that
as well, wasn't it? It's like 10-minute instrumental, wasn't it?
And it just kicked off. When the kick drum comes in at the end of that thing, it just lifts off, and it's all about that kind of that rise, that whole celebration, a real punch in the air moment, and that was it. Yeah, it just worked.
Yeah, that was a biggie.
Yeah,
and Things Can Only Get Better. Such a massive tune. Made it into the UK singles charts on 3 occasions. First in '93, got to number 1 in '94. Back in the top 20 in '97. Now, we're fast forwarding quite a lot in the timeline now, but there was a campaign, I believe, led by supporters of Sunderland.
Yeah.
To get it back in the charts for a fourth time. What do you remember about that?
I was quite part of it and party to this one. They started using it because they were struggling. They were going down in the league. And I follow football. I was a season ticket holder in Birmingham, West Brom, and they were going down. So they started singing "Things Get Better" as a sort of song. Really strange. I'll be playing something, going off the tube, and hearing all these guys singing "Things Get Better." Very strange. This is the Metro in Birmingham. Very strange. And so they got in touch on Twitter and said, "Look, we're going to. This is our son. They've got the cup final, but they're having such a terrible season. They got the cup final." So it's a thing. So, and I said, I put a bet on for it. I said, look, if you win this, I'll pay into you, whatever. And they just went out and bought it and got to number 60 or something again. It's ridiculous. And
really?
The proper chart, sure. But,
that's hilarious.
And the bizarre thing was, we were just in the process of getting back the rights to that. So we never made a penny out of it, obviously, because obviously Warner's had it, which that's changed now. But back then we were just in the process of redoing it, weren't we? Because we did it for that advert. And then had we done it, we might have actually got it out in time. But yeah, it was just and they talk about doing it again because I've had a bit of a nightmare this year again. So, but it's all good. But I ended up doing the halftime draw there up in the Stadium Light. They called me and said, "You want to come do the halftime draw?" And I'm a big football fan. I used to play a bit myself, and I just getting on a Premiership ground at halftime for me was just like the ultimate. They all singing things.
Really?
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Fantastic.
Really good laugh.
I'm so pleased for you. Oh, very good.
It's fun.
First I've heard of it.
Still lost. I still think that's got legs. I have to say. We recorded for an advert in Bank Adverts, I think it was in Australia, and over there they're fine. But over here, it never been used. When you think of that song, what it is, it's a song that just lends itself to advert stuff, but it never really been used because of that. And I think over time, it's that's gone a bit. And then with all the pandemic, we had it work with the NHS and stuff like that. So it gave it what it's about. It's more, but its real purpose. That song.
I know. Yeah. Well, I don't want to really dwell on the song so much because it does follow me around and it follows us around, and it's great calling card for us, and it's keeping us busy, and people have real joy at it. And I've moved on a long time ago, and I'm writing daily, and I've got some great new songs to work with Al when he comes over, and we just want to keep an eye on the future. I think you can't just. It's easy. I could just sail through life just doing that.
I know.
What's the point of that? As an artist, we moved on. We tried, In Memory Of was a unique work. This is, again, almost a return to form, but we've pushed it on a bit. I don't know what the next album's going to be like because we're still negotiating it and we're still working our way through them. But this new record we've got, Pedestal, it went down really well last Friday, Alan. I got to tell you, some people come up to me after that. This is the best song you've ever written, and I was going, you got to hear the demo, and then they're all already asking about that. So I suppose we just got to keep our hopium.
Music moves on. I'm a DJ still, and I do radio shows and stuff, and I don't do the old classic stuff. And I'm not. To me, music's always about pushing on and new stuff, and that's the same with us as well. The past pizza things, best thing there. If we did gigs and didn't play them, we'd probably get lynched. We're not the Fall, we used to go and play new stuff every time, and we're not a band with a massive back catalogue. It's getting bigger, but it's not like spans 7, 8 albums. You can do and all massive hits. We've got 2 huge hits, maybe 3 if you could shoot me, and that's it. Yeah. And they're the big ones. We've got other hits, but so you can't not play them. That would just. It'd be sacrilege, You just wouldn't get away with it. Although I think we've got better tunes, but that's my own personal opinion.
Yeah. Well, that kind of brings me on to my next question, which is, you've just said it there, Alan. Obviously, things can only get better. You're the best thing. Shoot Me With Your Love, probably the big 3 that you're known for. But you've had, I think, maybe is it 8 top 40 singles? So are there any tracks in particular, either from those that got released or album tracks that you wish could maybe get a little bit more of the spotlight?
Oh, well, All Things to All Men from the last album for me is one that we've ever done.
And Oh Come Away, Free Thinking Mind. Free Thinking Mind couldn't be more pertinent than what's going on today.
Well, I'm doing a video for that. You don't know this. I've been doing it the last couple of nights, a video for it here. So
really,
yeah, it's just
that's brilliant.
That's by the by. I'm just trying to get some because I think we should get it up there, but I don't want to be linking people to a Bandcamp, trying to make it look like I'm trying to make money out of a situation. So I've been trying to get a video that's.
Okay, no, it's good. And I think this album, I love Emperors. I love
Emperor.
Make Love. I mean,
it's one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah,
and I like from the first album. I think the first album's got loads of really good tunes that were maybe not. Well, not many weren't released as singles, but I also love like So Long Moving On. Also, that was a great record.
Now, Shoot Me With Your Love was the first single from your second album, World, in 95. Peaked at number 7 in the UK singles charts. Now, it does have quite a similar sound to Let Me Entertain You by Robbie Williams, doesn't it? Would you agree?
Yes. Well, mine was out a year before him.
Yes.
So there's been lots of talk about court cases and stuff because it's clearly plagiarism. But to be honest, like as I said to the guy I wrote it with, I've been in court 3 times. I know it's not productive. It's negative energy, and you know what? We've moved on. We really have, yeah. And I can't afford to sue him. I don't want to start crowdfunding. I think it's a negative thing. I'm just happy that when I do it, I do his version of my song at the end. So I break into Shoot Me With Your Love becomes Let Me Entertain You right at the end, and I'm waiting for him to sue me because he can't. Look, it is what it is. I think Elvis Costello had something like that recently, where he said, "Yeah, it's definitely my song redone." But he said, imitation is the greatest form of flattery, and at least you've moved it on a bit. So the debate's still out. When you saw the Robin Thicke thing with Marvin Gaye. That divided people like that bloody dress. Was it gold or was it blue? You remember that one? Yeah. So it's just, I don't know. The only downside is when we do it, there is sometimes a quizzical look on people's faces, as in, I know this record, and they think it's Robbie's. But that's that's just us. That's our
bubble. We don't do it very often anymore. That's the way we've got round.
We don't. But I think we should. I was playing it. I played 6 songs the other night. I played Blame It On Me and in chronological order, and then I did Best Thing, and I actually did Shoot Me, Things Gonna Get Better, and Pedestal, and it went down really well. But I've got a new version that I've done of Shoot Me on the guitar, which I think we should just have that on the website for people to enjoy, Alan. It's like a new version of it, but I'm sort of I've fallen in love again with it, and I think we should be doing it because it's up tempo, and I think it's going to be entertaining for people.
We did do a version of it, didn't we? We updated.
Yeah. So we've sort of turbocharged it, haven't we?
Now, at the kind of peak of your commercial success, you guys went on tour with Take That. You were doing lots of like kids' TV shows and stuff like that. What were your kind of like experiences of that like, and how do you sort of feel about those choices today?
I didn't
do it.
Alan wouldn't do it. I couldn't blame him. I knew I wanted a number 1 record, and I just thought the way to do that is to get on tour with these guys, because we went from having 40,000 clubbers religiously buying our records to 300,000 Take That fans buying it. So we get 650,000 sales of the other things going to get better, and it gave me what I wanted, and it was a hollow victory because we kind of abandoned the club base, and so you learn from these things, right? And if I could do it differently, no, I would have listened to Alan, and I wouldn't have gone for the number 1. I would have stayed where we were. We were doing good, and as Alan said, it was becoming too pop for me. It was going. I was doing kids' TV shows and all that sort of stuff. And I spoke to a lawyer about it, a guy, David Glick, who was doing some work for us. And I said, look, why did they do that? Well, we could have been like a stadium house band, like the Chemicals. And he's like, no, but Pete, you were good looking, and they just do what they do. It's like a hairdresser. They go in, might give you that haircut. They only know one haircut, right? So this is Warner Brothers. So all they know how to do, they didn't know what it was. It could have been, it could have been Stadium. And they just put it on the kids' TV show. I was at Pebble Mill, all that crap. And do you know what? I was just weak, and I was misguided, and I was just doing whatever I was being told to do, and I was not being difficult. I became difficult later on when I thought, hang on a minute. and I started questioning things that were going on. So by the time the second album The Power was buried at the pressing plant by my record label to teach me a lesson, I thought, that's it. I've had enough of this lot, and I'm not making another record for you. So I didn't. And I just got out of there. And I learned an awful lot about how, that industry does suck you in, chew you up, spit you out. And if you can come out of it without being completely traumatic disorder, whatever that is, you've done all right, because you look what happens to other people. They end up with fucking, drowning in their own vomit and God knows what, so.
We'd done the album, and we were on the fourth single, or the fourth release, and I remember the day we were just doing a video. I think the Star video. I just sat there all day, bored, not being used, and just thought, I've had enough of this. I've been thinking it for ages. So I started doing the TVs. I've been asked to go on tour with T17. I didn't want to do that, so I said no to that. And then it was just, I knew what was happening. This is where we're going. We're not doing any new material, and that was for me. That's the whole point of it, just getting new material done. And I was right in a way, because, and it's just that things. If I hadn't left and this and that, we might not have gone to a take. That might not have number one. We might have. You never know. But you just don't know what would have happened. So things work out for how they work out. And it just, I couldn't be doing that. I wouldn't have been I couldn't play an instrument. It wouldn't have been great going live or anything. It took me years to learn my craft. So I was quite naive with the whole thing. I didn't know anything about the industry. And it was just. Yeah,
I think when I met Alan then in 2008 in the park at the back of my house, he said to me, "You shouldn't have done that second album without me. It was shite." And I said, having had 15 years to think about it, with the benefit I said, "I think you're right." And then he said, "Well, do you want to do another record?" So we did, and that was In Memory Of. And I love that we were growing up enough to be able to play it like that. I think that's great. No, it's great.
I've learned a lot in those times, and since then as well, just having to do my own music and stuff, and running labels and that. So we've learned, and I'm older, and I could do a bit of write and repeat. I'm still not very good at playing things on my keyboard, so average to say the least.
Well, let's see. I've just got a new drum kit, Alan, for the studio, so let's see how you are on that.
Percussion's not too bad.
Yeah,
it's not too good either.
Yeah, I got a new Gretsch drum kit through last week, so I've been playing away on that.
Now, you just mentioned there, Pete, about how you and Al sort of met each other again for the first time after a long time. Was that just a sort of totally
absolutely random?
Meeting?
If you'd been a lawyer and tried to get me to get back and think, well, this is not going to work.
The weirdest thing about that as well, the weirdest thing about that was that only maybe 2 weeks before, I'd sent you a message through MySpace.
Did you really?
I sent you a message, didn't respond. Now, only 2 weeks. Now, we hadn't talked in however long it was, 2008, 95, so 13 years. And I sent you a message on there, but you never got back. And that's 2 weeks before, I can't remember what it was. But anyway, so that's the first contact. And then 2 weeks later, I'm in London, out all night. I'd been out all night some party, and I'd gone to the field gone to this park. It was really early. And he'd come out. Well, he got up. He'd been to bed at a sensible hour and come to the park with his kids. I was out with these older kids, and it's the most bizarre thing.
He was sitting on a park bench.
I saw two people arguing. It was him and his missus. I didn't know. And so look at them arguing away with the kids saying, "Look, we're thinking we're the coolest things in the world," when actually we're just really sad and up really late. But and next thing they've gone off, and then next thing this guy's coming shouting out, "Oh, you come over here. Are you the
is that the DJ Alan Mackenzie?"
Alan Mackenzie. I was like.
Yeah. The name of the album, In Memory Of, is what was written on the park bench that he was sitting on.
Yeah.
Really?
That's why the front cover's done against that park bench.
That is the actual bench, that we.
That's the bench that was, A Memory Of, and I can't remember the girl's name, but that was her favorite bench, and that's where the bench he was sitting on when I met him.
Right.
Wow. So, I mean, you probably wouldn't have got back together if it wasn't for that.
No,
would you say?
No, wouldn't have been happening. And the thing is, I'd not done any D-Ream stuff because I'd lost I don't know, it didn't feel right. I was trying things like playing with all my other musician mates. I had a band called Shane, I had a band called Astrolab. I did all sorts of stuff, all the stuff I've always done just to make records. And I didn't go out as D-Ream. I wasn't interested in, I sort of buried it really. And then with meeting Alan again, it was like, I'm quite happy to go out and gig now because I think it's real. It feels right. And that particular year we put that album out, was probably one of our best years after the
we did a lot of gigs, didn't we?
We did a lot of gigs, 20 odd gigs, and it was really good to go out and meet people again. And I remember everyone being lovely, especially in Birmingham, all these boys and girls on one of those gay shows we did then, they were just holding my hand, and everyone was like really loving. And I was loving being back again, with TJ and Alan and making that sound.
So where can people buy the album, and where can people like keep up with what you're doing and find out news and about future gigs and so on?
The album's available on all sort of if it's only digital you want, on all your Apple Musics, your Amazon, all the places. Our Bandcamp site which Bandcamp is the way forward with music. Our vinyl and CDs are all on there, so they just go on, and you can download it from there as well. The website is up and running, which is d-ream.co.uk. Is that right, Peter?
.co.uk, yeah. D-REAM.
Yeah, that's running. With a Facebook page and Twitter and Instagram are running. Facebook's probably more active than most of them.
Well, thanks, guys. It's been great
Thanks,
chatting to you, and I really appreciate all the time you've given me, and thanks so much.
That's all right.
No problem, sir. I wish you all the best with it.
There's so much hatred going on around the world today, and that's still what's going on. With every struggle, it's so hard to find a word to say, with their sanity and song. We are made the same color. There is no they or them or others. Dance to the beat of a single heart. There is a place we can go. We can make a start. Gotta make love cool again. Gotta make love cool. Make love cool again. Gotta make love cool again. Gotta make love cool. Cool again. Gotta make love cool again. Gotta make love cool. Make love cool again. Gotta make love cool again. Gotta make love cool. When every sign you see wants to know tomorrow, and it's like you've lost the way. Forever searching for the path to follow, where love can save the day. We are born of a universal love, like family. Gotta learn to love each other. Dance to the beat of a single heart. There's a place we can go, we can make a start. Gotta make love cool again. Gotta make love cool. Make love cool again. Make love cool. Make love cool again. Dance to see a brand new dawn. We dance and sing spring now. Together we will conquer and divided we will see the change.
That was a clip of Make Love Cool Again, which is from D-Ream's 4th album, Open Hearts, Open Minds. And earlier in the interview you heard a snippet from Meet Me at Midnight, and in its entirety you also heard Many Hands. And that was my interview with Pete Cunnah and Alan Mackenzie of D-Ream. Now, I'm really pleased that I got to speak to both of the guys at the same time, because I think it gave us an idea of the dynamic between the two of them, and perhaps even a bit of an insight into how the pair work together when they're making music. As you'll have heard in our chats, and Al even referenced it and apologised for it during the conversation, at times it did feel like more like two old mates catching up with each other, but I don't think any apology was necessary. On the contrary, I thought it was great because it was more like, or you know, closer at least to being a fly on the wall during a meeting of these two creative minds, these two musicians bouncing ideas off each other and riffing with each other in a much more organic and naturalistic way than a more rigid question and answer interview format with perhaps more stock or rehearsed answers. So personally, I really enjoyed it, and I kept the vast majority of the conversation in the edits so you guys could hear that too. Hopefully you found it interesting and enjoyed it as well. Let me know your thoughts on social media. We're at Mega Music Memories on Facebook and Instagram, and Mega Memories on Twitter. Or you can drop me an email at megamusicmemories@gmail.com. Now, the guys are putting the finishing touches to their new single, Pedestal, right now, and they hope to be releasing that around the summertime this year. So do keep an eye out for that. I haven't heard it, but I have been listening to the new album and enjoying it very much, so I'm really looking forward to when the new single gets released. So, finally, I just want to say a really big thank you to Pete and Al for taking the time to speak to me and for being so candid and thoughtful with their answers. If you enjoyed the interview, if you've been finding the other episodes interesting and entertaining, I would be so incredibly grateful if you could do me a favour by giving the podcast a 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to it. We're available on all the major platforms. A positive review on Apple Podcasts in particular would be really helpful. That gets the podcast seen by more people, which in turn will help us to grow and continue to attract top artists from the 90s and noughties to join us on the pod. If you haven't already, subscribe to the pod so you'll be the first to know when new episodes drop. Thank you once again so much for listening, and I'll speak to you all again very soon with another interview and lots more Mega Music Memories.